don't want you to lose your house to foreclosure, especially when there's so many things that we can do to stop it. In this video, we're going to cover the key points that you need to know. Number one, what triggers a foreclosure sale, right? Let's start with when you actually took out your mortgage. You made a legal promise by signing a promissory note. That note is your agreement to make monthly payments to the lender. And missing a payment might not seem like a big deal at first, but each missed payment raises red flags. Once you fall behind by a couple of months, the lender starts viewing it as a breach of that agreement that you made. And they'll try to get in touch to figure out what's going on here. But if those attempts fail and payments remain overdue, the lender takes the next step, issuing a notice of default. The key thing to understand is that missing mortgage payments doesn't automatically mean foreclosure. It's a process, and you have time to act before the lender actually takes your home. Let's break down that promissory note a little bit more. When you bought your house, you signed two official documents. The first one is the promissory note. This is your promise to repay the loan. And the second was the mortgage or deed of trust, or in simple terms, is the collateral, which is your home. This ties your promise to your property, giving the lender the right to foreclose if you don't keep your end of the deal. The lender isn't just entitled to your monthly payments, they also have a legal recourse if you don't pay them back. This is why understanding your mortgage document is so important. Knowing what you signed gives you insight into how to negotiate with your lender and prevent foreclosure. Let's talk about what really triggers a foreclosure process. The timeline typically looks like this. There's the first missed payment, which the lender sends a reminder. The second missed payment, you'll start getting more serious notices, and the lender may report your missed payments to the credit bureaus. And then by the third missed payment, now you're officially considered delinquent. The lender will send a notice of default, starting the foreclosure time clock. At this point, many homeowners panic. But I don't want you to panic, because even now, you have lots of options. You can negotiate a loan modification, and that will lower your monthly payment. You can explore a short sale if you can't afford to keep the house. And you can request forbearance to buy yourself some time. The key is acting early before the process gets out of hand. Understanding what triggers a foreclosure sale is your first step to protecting your home. The foreclosure process doesn't start overnight, but it does begin with missed payments, the promissory note breach, and the lender issuing a notice of default. But I want you to remember that even at this stage, there are still options to stop the process and save your home. In the context of the foreclosure, this document tells everyone interested in the property, like potential buyers or other lenders, the property is involved in a legal dispute. And essentially, it's the lender's way of saying, we are taking legal action to reclaim this house at this point. If you want to dive deeper into what a list pendens means and how it can affect you, I've already made a detailed video on this topic, and I will link it here for you to watch in the description below. Once you miss a few payments, the foreclosure process moves into the formal legal stage. The first major notice you'll receive is the notice of default. This document officially informs you that you're defaulted on your loan, and it outlines the steps you need to take to cure the default. Think of it as like the final warning that they're giving you. After the notice of default, if no resolution is reached, the next document you'll receive is the notice of sale. This notice is crucial because it actually states the date, the time, and the location of the foreclosure auction. And in some states, this notice must be even posted publicly on your property itself, and then they have to publish in local newspapers as well. After 90 days, which is the third missed payment, the lender issues a 90-day pre-foreclosure notice. And then they file the list pendens, which is filed with the court to start the foreclosure lawsuit. And then the court proceedings, this can take several months to over a year. And then the notice of sale is issued, and that's the court orders the auction. And then there's the auction day, the property is sold. In New Jersey, the foreclosure timeline, which is also the judicial state, the first 30 days after the first missed payment, the late payment notice sent by the lender. After the 90 days, which is the third missed payment, the lender files a notice of intent to foreclose. And then there's the list pendens filing, which is filed with the courts. And then the foreclosure complaint is also filed, and the homeowners at that point have 35 days to respond to it. And then the court proceedings, where the court schedules the auction. In the next part of this video, we'll dive deeper into what happens on the auction day. When a foreclosure auction takes place, it's often held at a courthouse steps or another public location. Let's break down what happens during the process. So who shows up at the auction, right? The referee or the auctioneer. This is the person responsible for conducting the auction. They make sure that the bidding process follows legal procedures and announce the property for sale. Potential buyers also show up. These are usually real estate investors, house flippers, or individuals looking to purchase a property at a discount. They come prepared to bid on the property. And there's the lender's representative. If no one bids high enough to cover the lender's minimum, the lender will have representative present to place a bid and take ownership of the property. How are bids placed? The auction typically starts with an opening bid, which is set at the amount owed to the mortgage, including the late fees and legal costs. And bidders then increase their offers in increments until the highest bid is reached. The property is sold to the highest bidder unless the lender decides to take back the property. And what happens during the auction? The auctioneer will announce the property and any relevant details, such as the starting bid amount. Potential buyers place their bids in increments. And then if no one bids high enough to cover the lender's minimum, the lender will often take back the property. I visited a live foreclosure auction recently, and I have a video already available about it. It's really interesting. I'll have a link for this video in the description below for you guys. In this next section, we'll dive into what happens if the bank buys back the house. If the property doesn't sell to a third-party buyer at the auction, it becomes real estate owned REO by the bank. This means that the bank officially takes possession of the property, but the process really doesn't end there. Now you might be wondering, what does the bank do with the house once they take it back, right? What does REO mean for the homeowner? Once the bank takes the property as an REO, they are now responsible for maintaining it, paying the property taxes, and dealing with any legal or maintenance issues. But here's the reality. Banks are not in the business of managing homes, right? They want to sell the property as quickly as they possibly can to recoup all of their losses. And they want to evict the homeowner as quickly as they possibly can. This could mean the bank will list the property for sale through a real estate agent, sell it at a discount to an investor, or sometimes even keep it on their books, waiting for the market to improve. But for homeowners that's still living in the property, the process doesn't end at the auction. You could still be living in your home, but not for long. Eviction process after the bank takes over. The bank will now start the formal eviction process to remove the homeowner. Here's how that works. So there's post-auction notice to vacate after the auction. The bank will issue a notice to vacate, which gives the homeowner a certain number of days to leave the property. This time frame varies state by state, and it's usually between 3 to 30 days. And then there's the eviction filing in court. If the homeowner does not leave voluntarily, the bank will file for a formal eviction in court. The court will schedule a hearing, and the homeowner will have a chance to contest the eviction. And then there's the eviction order if the court rules in favor of the bank. They will issue an eviction order. At this point, the local sheriff or a law enforcement agency will be responsible for enforcing the eviction. And then the sheriff's eviction, once the eviction order is in place, the sheriff will visit the property to physically remove the homeowner and their belongings. In some cases, the sheriff will give the homeowner one final chance to leave voluntarily before enforcing the eviction. Let's get real for a second. Picture this. The sheriff shows up at your door ready to evict you and your family and escort you out of your home, with or without your belongings. Whether your belongings are packed or left behind, and the house that you've called home is no longer yours. Is this really what you want? Stress, embarrassment, uncertainty about where you'll go next. It's a heartbreaking scenario that no one should have to experience. Wouldn't it make more sense to explore your options now before it gets to this point? There are solutions that can help you avoid this outcome and protect your dignity, your finances, and your future. You have options. Remember, loan notifications, work with the lender to adjust your loan terms. Short sale, sell your home for less than what you owe and avoid foreclosure. Cash for keys. Negotiate with the bank for a peaceful transition. The key is taking action before it's too late. You're probably wondering, what can you do to prevent this from happening to you, right? Be sure to subscribe to this channel so you don't miss the next video in this series. Remember, taking action early is key to protecting your home and your financial future. There's hope, and there are people like me who genuinely want to help you find a way out of this situation. I've helped many homeowners in foreclosure a lot in 2007, 2008, 2009, and 2010. So I know a thing or two about foreclosures. Reach out if you need guidance. Even if we've never met, your story matters to me. Your home matters. And together, we can work towards a better outcome. You don't have to go through this alone. I know how overwhelming it feels to face foreclosure. And I'm here to help you explore every option to protect your home and your future. My name is Esphir Popilevsky. Thank you for spending this time with me and watching. And I'll be here for you in the next video.